Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in one-of-a-kind math that allows us to predict the stock market and individual stocks with amazing accuracy. And the way we do it, we calculate the market and individual stocks in three-dimensional space. On top of that, we have a number of very unique timing indicators that we use. And when we put it all together, we can essentially predict, once again, what the stock market or individual stocks will do in both time and price going forward. And we can typically do it on multiple time frames. Not always, but very often we can predict it over a long stretch or over a long period of time or on intraday charts. So I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So today we're going to be looking at one of our weekly stocks, which is Apple. And we have a very good history with the stock, so I think you're going to find it very interesting of what it is predicting. Just to jump a little bit ahead of myself, we are basically have begun the decline into the next year for Apple, and I'll explain why in a second. But before we do, I wanted to show you a little history with the stock. As I mentioned, we've been very successful with predicting its moves. And what you're seeing on the screen is actually a screenshot from our website at 40 Capital. It is one of our sample analysis, and as you can see, we've done very well with the stock. So in October of 2022, for example, we projected this particular bottom for the stock, and at that time, if you remember the environment, everybody was talking about a major collapse in the stock market, everything's going to crash, so on and so forth, but we were the only one of a very few people, I guess you can call, who are predicting a major market bottom and subsequent increase. And the same thing applies here with the Apple stock. So our projection was that the Apple was going to bottom at that time on December 31st, plus or minus 2 trading days, at $124 a share. That's the red region right here that you see, and that's exactly what happened. So the exact bottom was achieved on January 3rd, 2023 at $124.17. The reason why we use this as a sample was one of the more accurate calls that we had, and exactly precise calls that we had. So, and then subsequently, at the very same time, in October 2022, we predicted that once the stock is going to bottom, it's going to run up to $200 a share by December 2023, and that's exactly what happened. So this first set of tops that we saw at the end of 2023 was exactly $200 a share. So this just gives you a very good indication of how accurate our work can be and how amazing it can be, because not only can we project this particular bottom, our software allows us to, from that bottom, project what the next move is going to be, as is the case shown here. So let's look at the Apple today. It's an interesting analysis, and I think if you hold the position in the stock, you're going to find it quite helpful, and I believe quite a few people hold the position in it. So basically what you see on the chart here, let me very briefly just mention, some people have asked, is like, what are these very simple triangles? What you see on the chart of view is a very simple visual output of a very complex set of calculations our system generates, and once again, it's just a very easy way to present this data in videos such as this. But behind the scenes, there's actually quite a bit of calculations happening, and it is a very complex set of calculations, as a matter of fact, that gives us both the time variable and the price variable associated with the stock that we're looking at. So the triangles you see on top and the bottom are what we call cycle composites. And basically what we do, we scan the chart back, and our software has the ability to pick out these cycles. And the bottom composites are responsible for putting in bottoms for the stock, and the tops are responsible for putting in tops. But it gets even more complicated with that, because for any particular stock or the overall stock market, typically there are 2 to 3 bottom composites and top composites running at the same time. So for example, for the Dow Jones, typically there are 2 composites running at the same time, but if you know how it works and you can put it actually together, you can very closely replicate what you see on the 2-dimensional time and price chart. Okay, so the bottoms here essentially indicate the overall composition of where the stock is going forward. The lines you see in the chart is what we call cycle clusters. So we have a number of proprietary cycles, and once again, we scan the chart back, we identify, the software identifies those cycles automatically, and then it projects them into the future. And what we found over the years is that important turning points happen typically not when any singular cycle arrives, but when there's a number of different cycles that arrive at the same time. Okay, so if we have 2, 3, 4, 5 powerful cycles arriving at the same time, rest assured there's going to be an important turning point there as opposed to a singular cycle arriving. So basically the composite cycles get us into the neighborhood, and cycle clusters give us the exact date of when an upcoming turning point is going to occur, as you can see from the chart here. So this cluster identified the exact top here, this cluster identified the exact bottom, and then this cluster is once again identifying a top. So our original forecast for the Apple was the $260 top here was within the margin of our completion point for this particular top. But then we theorized that since the NASDAQ is going to bounce quite significantly, Apple had a secondary set of calculations where it was projecting that it could possibly reach approximately $310 a share by this particular top. But since it's underperformed the NASDAQ by quite a significant margin, actually underperformed pretty much every index, and the completion time for this particular move is coming to an end, we come to a realization that this was the major top, even though it was just within the margin of error. This was the major top, and Apple is now moving into this major bottom scheduled for September of, let me just to make sure, September of 2026, approximately September 15 of 2026. So the question becomes, how far or how much lower is it going to go? Where's the bottom, and what happens thereafter? So what happens thereafter is a relatively easy question to answer once we hit this particular bottom in September of 2026. Now keep in mind, I usually mention this, but in this particular case I forgot. There's a certain margin of error associated with these cycles. These long-term cycles, 5-7 years, typically have two plus or minus 2 months associated with them. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with projected bottom, especially if you're not following our service very closely. So once this bottom is put in place, we anticipate Apple to increase into this top and then subsequently into this top. So once the bottom is in, it's going to go on to increase and put in a new all-time high. But until we hit this bottom, it's not going to happen. So very important to keep in mind. Now the green dots you see are all possibilities in terms of our three-dimensional calculations of where this bottom is going to be. So if we look at this one, it identifies $125.20 as a potential bottom. Now this is one of the representations. We have a different one. Let me show it to you. And this is the other one. So all of these blue regions, so to speak, are all possibilities associated with the Apple stock going forward. So it cannot go anywhere. It has to bottom at one of these regions. And as you can see, this one, this highlighted green region that I have, it also has a price of between $125 and $129 a share. For Apple, it's going to be a double bottom formation of sorts here, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So we're looking for that bottom around September of 2026. Our overall stock market forecast confirms that as well. And once this bottom is put in place, the stock will increase. Well, I don't want to say quite substantially. We're not going to see 5x or 10x, but we're going to see a situation where Apple is going to hit a new all-time high by the time, let me open this up, by the time this major top arrives by 2029. So that's the analysis for Apple. We're not doing anything of particular interest in the stock as of right now. Just a little bit of a disclosure. However, we would be very interested in this particular bottom and what happens thereafter. So all of this information is available in our service, including the exact time and price parameters for this anticipated bottom. We do have a 30-day free trial. All you have to do is ask for it. We don't ask for a credit card. We don't have any strings attached to it. Simply request. The link is going to be at the bottom of the video. We also have webinars where we discuss the current composition of our software, as well as what the overall stock market is going to do if you're interested in that. And yeah, we have quite a bit of information, particularly for serious, I don't want to say intraday or short-term traders, but more likely for more longer-term oriented investors, because we don't necessarily trade on a daily basis, but we do take long positions in stocks that are expected to appreciate 2x, 5x, 10x going forward. So that's our bread and butter. It is just much easier, as you know, to make money that way, and also there are significant tax benefits associated with that as well, as you know. Anyway, what I was going to say is that do request a free trial. Don't forget to subscribe. We usually do daily updates, whether we're looking at one of our weekly stocks, or we're looking at fast movers, or we're looking at some of the super equities that we have. Anyway, I think you'll find all of this information quite helpful. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll be back with another update tomorrow. Bye-bye.